Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to crochet this adorable heart flower pot amigurumi. It's super easy to make and perfect for beginners and makes a great gift for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or any day really. To make this you'll need the color of yarn you want to use for the heart, some green for the leaves, some clay color for the pot and some dark brown for the soil. I have used some pillow fluff to stuff the pot and the center of the flower, and I have used a glass bead to weigh down the pot. You'll need around 6 inches of wire for the stem. Here I have used aluminium wire. And for tools you're going to need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. For the pot I am going to use this clay colored yarn. This is a 4-ply yarn and with it I am going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finish making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So, go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch, and that is our increase stitch. Again, into the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to increase into every alternate stitch. So, into that first stitch, make a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Then into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, then increase. Continue repeating like this. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around. Once you reach the last stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into it. For this and every other increase round, you should be increasing into the last stitch, and if you are not, you must have done something wrong in your counting and you will have to recheck your work. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we are going to be working into the back loops only. If you look at each stitch carefully, they have a front loop and a back loop. We are going to only go under the back loop to make the stitches like so. We are going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around in the back loops only, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. I am going to finish the round like this and meet back up with you. Here I am at the end of round 4. You will have 18 stitches all the way around. Working into the back loops only will create a flat bottom for the pot. Go ahead and replace the stitch marker. For round 5, place 1 single crochet into the first 5 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Into the next stitch, increase. Now repeat this sequence one more time. 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches and then increase. Like every other increase round, you should be increasing in the last stitch. At the end of round 5, you will have 21 single crochets. For round 6, place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 21. For round 7, place 1 single crochet into the first 6 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence 2 more times. 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and then increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and into the last stitch, increase. Like every other increase round, you should be placing an increase into the last stitch. At the end of round 7, you will have 24 single crochets. Round 7 was our last increase round. For rounds 8 and 9, we are going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 24. I am going to finish making these 2 rounds and then I am going to meet back up with you. Here I finished making up to round 9. Now I am going to slip stitch into the front loop of the next stitch. Now we are going to start to make double crochets for the lip of the pot. Start by chaining 3. This will act as the first double crochet. Then into the front loop of the next stitch we are going to make a double crochet. To make a double crochet, yarn over, go into the front loop and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Then again yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. That's our double crochet. In the front loop of the next stitch, again make a double crochet, yarn over, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Repeat like this all the way around. Here I finished making double crochets into the front loop of each stitch all the way around. Now I am going to slip stitch into the third chain of the first chain 3 to join, and this brings us to the end of round 10. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for weaving in. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. When you fold over the top edge like so, you will create the shape of your pot. Next, we'll make the soil using dark brown yarn. The first 3 rounds of the soil are the exact same as that of the pot. I have made them already. Now for round 4, we are going to increase in every third stitch, but we are going to stagger our increases so that our piece does not become too hexagonal. Start by making 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then in the next stitch, increase. Then make 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then in the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence of 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then increase 4 more times for a total of 5 times. In the second last stitch of the round, I am making an increase stitch. Then remove the stitch marker and place one single crochet into the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 4. At the end of round 4, you will have 24 single crochets. Then slip stitch into the next stitch and then cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing on the soil. The soil should fit perfectly on top of the pot with the exact same number of stitches all the way around. Next, I am going to make the heart-shaped flower using this pink yarn. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger, and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops, and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finished making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that, I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color, or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So, go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch, and that is our increase stitch. Again, into the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 12. Here I'm at the end of the round. Remove the stitch marker and place one single crochet into the last stitch. Don't forget to replace the stitch marker. Your work should have started to curl up a bit by now. If it's curling in the wrong direction, flip it over to the right side before continuing. The wrong side is the side with the yarn tail. For round 4, we are going to repeat the same thing as round 3. Make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 12. I am going to finish this and meet back up with you. Here I am at the end of round 4. Remove the stitch marker and make one single crochet into the last stitch. Then I am going to cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for weaving in. You'll need to make 2 of this piece, but don't fasten off the yarn on the second piece. We are going to use it to continue on to round 5. For round 5, make one single crochet into the first 6 stitches of the first piece. Then bring in the second piece. We are going to start working from the stitch after the one where we just fastened off. Make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, making sure to work over the tail as you go. After I finished making the 12 single crochets of the second piece, make one single crochet into the remaining 6 stitches of the first piece. Here I am at the end of round 5. At the end of round 5, you will have 24 stitches all the way around, including the 2 pieces. From round 6, we are going to start decreasing. Make one single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches, we are going to make an invisible decrease. Let me tell you the difference between a regular decrease and an invisible decrease first. For a regular decrease, we go into the next stitch and pull up a loop like we normally would for a single crochet, but do not complete that stitch. Again, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time, and that finishes a decrease stitch. You'll notice that that stitch looks a bit different than the rest of the stitches and it sticks out. For the invisible decrease, we are going to work into the front loops only. If you look at the stitches carefully, each stitch has a front loop and a back loop. Go under the front loop of the first stitch, twist your hook around and go under the front loop of the second stitch. Then yarn over and pull up a loop like you normally would for a single crochet. Then yarn over and pull through 2. And that finishes our invisible decrease. You'll notice that that stitch looks the exact same as the rest of the stitches and it blends in much better. Then into the next 2 stitches again make one single crochet. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Continue repeating like this. 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then invisible decrease all the way around. Similar to the increased rounds, into the last 2 stitches of the decreased round, you should always be decreasing, and if you're not doing that, you have done something wrong in your counting. At the end of round 6, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 7, we are going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. Here I am at the end of round 7. For round 8, make 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Again 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then invisible decrease. Continue repeating this sequence of 1 single crochet and invisible decrease all the way around. Here I am at the end of round 8. At the end of round 8, you will have 12 single crochets. For round 9, make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 12. Here I am at the end of round 9. At this point we are going to stuff the piece. Make sure to stuff both sides evenly and don't overstuff. For round 10 we are going to decrease into each stitch all the way around. I like to place one finger on top of the stuffing to keep it out of the way as I work. At the end of round 10 you will have 6 stitches all the way around. Cut the excess yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing, and then fasten off. Then to close up the hole, I am going to weave this tail in and out through the front loops of all of the stitches of this round. Then when you pull on this tail, it should close up the hole nicely. With the help of a yarn needle, bring that tail through the center of the hole and then out through anywhere on the amigurumi. Leave it hanging there for now. Next we are going to make the leaves with our green yarn. Start by making a slip knot. Then chain 8. Here I finished making 8 chains. Now I am going to skip the first chain and make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then in the next chain make a half double crochet. It's very similar to a double crochet. Yarn over once, then go into the next chain and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time. That's our half double crochet. Into the next 3 chains make 1 double crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. Then in the last chain we are going to make 3 single crochets in the same chain. If the last chain becomes a bit loose, you can tighten it by pulling on this tail. Now we are going to start working down the other side of the chain. In the next chain, we are going to make a half double crochet, double crochet in the next 3 chains, in the next chain half double crochet, in the last chain 1 single crochet, now slip stitch into the first single crochet, that's the first leaf complete. We are going to make a second leaf joined to the first leaf. For that again chain 8, we are going to repeat the same thing as the first leaf. 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. In the next chain half double crochet, double crochet in the next 3 chains, in the next chain half double crochet, in the next chain single crochet. Now we are going to work on the other side of the chain, but when we turn it over, the first chain gets a bit difficult to locate, so I am marking it with a stitch marker. Now we are going to turn over the piece, bringing that yarn tail and the crochet hook underneath the piece, like so. Now remove the stitch marker and place 1 single crochet into that first chain. Then in the next chain half double crochet, one double crochet in the next 3 chains, then in the next chain half double crochet, then in the last chain 2 single crochets, then slip stitch into the first single crochet, and that completes the second leaf. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. I am going to bring the yarn tail to the back through the same stitch. Using a smaller crochet hook, I am going to weave in the yarn tails by bringing them through the back loops of many of the stitches. Next, I am going to make the stem. For that, you will need around 6 inches of wire folded in half. Take a long length of green yarn on your yarn needle. Bring it in through the same hole as the pink yarn tail and out to the very bottom of the heart. Don't pull the yarn all the way through, leave a little bit hanging at the back for tying a knot later on. Next, I am going to insert the wire. There are 2 ways that you can do this. For the first way, insert your hook in between the last and second last row and then in the very center and loop it through like so. Next, I am going to wrap the wire with the green yarn tail. Make sure to wrap it tightly and then push it down to the base of the flower. I like to do this little segments at a time. Once you've wrapped around 1 inch, it's time to add the leaves. We're going to simply poke the wires through the center of the leaves. Make sure that the leaves are facing the same direction as the flower and then continue wrapping for a few more rounds. Once you're happy with the length of the stem, tie a couple of knots to secure it. You'll notice that the heart is not exactly stable at this point. To stabilize it a bit, we can tie a knot tightly with these two yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot inside the amigurumi by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. After doing this, the heart will be more stable, but there will still be some movement. To make it absolutely sturdy, you'll have to do the second method of inserting the wire. For the second method, I've already tied off the green and pink yarn tails and hidden the knot inside the amigurumi. This time, we're going to insert the wire through the top of the heart all the way through down to the bottom. This can be a bit tricky. It might take a couple of tries for it to come out to the right spot. It took me 3 tries to get it right. If some of the stuffing comes out with the wires, don't be worried. Simply pull them out gently. Then the rest of the process of wrapping the stem and adding the leaves is pretty much the same for both methods. The second method is much sturdier. The heart will have no movement whatsoever. Then we are going to attach the flower to the soil. First, I am going to bring that yarn tail to the center of the soil using my crochet hook. Then we are going to poke the wires to the center as well. Tie a knot using the green and brown yarn tails to secure it. Bend the wires into an S shape so that it's flat against the soil. Once you're done with this, the flower should be able to stand up on its own. Next, we are going to add the pot. First, I'm putting in a glass bead inside the pot just to weigh it down so that it doesn't topple as easily. Then, I'm filling it up with pillow fluff. Then, we are going to sew on the flower and the soil on top of the pot. The number of stitches around the pot and the soil are the same, so this process should be pretty easy. I have taken the yarn tail on a yarn needle. We are going to sew along these visible back loops. I am starting by going through the very last back loop of the pot. I am taking the front loop of the stitches of the soil and the back loop from the pot and stitching through both of them. I will repeat like this all the way around. Here I finished sewing all the way around. Now bring in that yarn tail in through the last stitch and then out through the back of the pot. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now and take the yarn tail of the pot on your yarn needle. Bring that yarn tail in under the lip of the pot and then out through the bottom. We are going to use this yarn tail to create a dimple at the bottom so that the pot is more stable. Just make a small stitch and then bring the yarn tail out through the same hole as the brown yarn tail of the shawl. The bottom should curve inwards a bit like this. Now tie a knot using these two yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot inside by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. After everything we have done to make it stable, the pot should easily be able to stand up on its own. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.